Some places on Earth are so deadly, cursed, or downright off-limits that stepping foot inside could be the last thing you ever do. Whether it's a snake-infested island, a radioactive ghost town, or a secret meeting spot for the world's most powerful people, these locations are not open to visitors. Ever. And let's be honest, that only makes them more tempting. Some of these places are patrolled by armed guards, while others are so naturally inhospitable that even trying to reach them is a death wish. And the few who have ignored the warnings, they didn't come back. From toxic wastelands to top-secret government zones, here are 15 dangerous areas you'll never be allowed to step foot in. And what's waiting inside? Let's kick off things with number 15, Heard Island. If you ever wanted to know what pure, unforgiving isolation looks like, Heard Island is it. Located between Antarctica and Madagascar, this volcanic wasteland belongs to Australia, but even they don't bother going there. The island is constantly battered by hurricane-force winds, covered in glaciers, and home to active volcanoes that could erupt at any moment. But the real danger? There's no way to escape. Heard Island is so remote that there are no airports, no docks, and no rescue services. If something goes wrong, you're on your own. Scientists who have attempted brief visits describe the island as one of the most extreme places on Earth, where the weather changes in minutes and the waves are so violent that even the toughest ships avoid getting too close. If you ever find yourself near Heard Island, turn around, fast. Because if anything happens to you there, no one is coming to save you from the danger. Number 14, Bohemian Grove. In the middle of California's redwood forest, there's a private retreat so exclusive that even billionaires struggle to get in. It's called Bohemian Grove, and for 2 weeks every summer, the world's most powerful men gather here for a completely secretive, off-the-record event. What happens inside? No one really knows. But leaked reports suggest it's a mix of political networking, bizarre rituals, and strange performances. Former attendees include presidents, CEOs, and high-ranking officials, leading to endless speculation about whether global decisions are being made behind these closed doors. Security is insanely tight. The area is guarded by armed personnel, ex-military operatives, and even Secret Service agents. Anyone caught trying to sneak in is immediately arrested, or worse. Some conspiracy theorists even claim that dark rituals and ceremonies take place inside, though no one outside the club has been able to confirm it. One thing's for sure, whatever happens at Bohemian Grove stays at Bohemian Grove. Number 13, Surtsey Island. Surtsey Island is one of the newest pieces of land on Earth, formed by a volcanic eruption off the coast of Iceland in 1963. But unless you're a scientist with government clearance, you're never setting foot here. Why? Because Surtsey is one of the most closely protected ecosystems in the world. Scientists use it to study how life develops on a brand new island without human interference. Even the researchers who visit must follow strict rules. They can't bring food that contains seeds, and even using the bathroom is tightly regulated to prevent contamination. The goal is to see how nature evolves completely on its own. So far, plants, birds, and insects have slowly taken over the island, creating a living time capsule of Earth's natural development. But for the rest of us, it will remain a mystery. If you try to visit, expect the Icelandic government to shut that plan down immediately. Number 12, Pripyat, Ukraine. Pripyat was once a thriving city, home to 50,000 residents, until April 26, 1986, the day of the Chernobyl disaster. When reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant exploded, it released a deadly cloud of radioactive fallout, forcing authorities to evacuate the entire city within hours. What's left today is an eerie, decaying ghost town frozen in time. Buildings remain as they were on that fateful day, with school books still open, toys scattered across abandoned homes, and a rusting amusement park that never had the chance to open. Radiation levels have dropped enough for short, controlled visits, but some areas are still highly toxic. Stray too far from the safe zones, and the radiation could kill you. Even decades later, Pripyat is no place to linger. The land has been contaminated for thousands of years, and no one will ever live here again. It's a grim reminder of how one mistake can turn an entire city into a lifeless wasteland. Number 11. Wittenoom, Australia. Wittenoom used to be a small mining town in Western Australia, but today it's so dangerous that the government has erased it from official maps. Why? Because it's covered in deadly asbestos dust. For decades, miners worked at Wittenoom's blue asbestos mines, completely unaware of the horrific health risks. When scientists discovered that exposure to asbestos causes lung diseases and cancer, the town was immediately shut down. But the damage was already done. Thousands of former residents and workers later developed fatal diseases. Authorities have tried to clean up the contamination, but it's impossible to make the area safe. The government has even cut off all roads and services to stop people from entering, yet some stubborn locals still refuse to leave. If you ever see a road sign for Wittenoom, turn around. Every breath you take there could be your last. Number 10. The Oymyakon region. If you think your winters are brutal, try surviving in Oymyakon, Russia, the coldest inhabited place on Earth. Temperatures here regularly drop to -76 degrees, and the lowest ever recorded was a bone-crushing -96 degrees. It's so cold that eyelashes freeze in seconds, cars must be left running 24/7, and exposed skin can suffer instant frostbite. The ground is frozen year-round, making plumbing nearly impossible. Most people still use outdoor toilets. Despite the extreme conditions, a few hundred people call Oymyakon home, surviving on reindeer meat, frozen fish, and vodka to stay warm. Tourists are not welcome, and even if you want to visit, getting there requires days of travel through an unforgiving wilderness. For the average person, spending more than a few minutes outside in Oymyakon could be deadly. Unless you enjoy turning into a human icicle, this is one place you don't want to visit. Number 9. Lake Natron. At first glance, Lake Natron in Tanzania looks like something out of a dream, a mirror-like blood-red lake stretching for miles. But step too close, and you might not step back at all. This lake is one of the most caustic bodies of water on Earth, with a pH level similar to ammonia or bleach. The water is so highly alkaline that it burns the skin and eyes of animals that get too close, and anything that falls in is slowly mummified by the lake's high salt content. Even birds that accidentally touch the surface turn into eerie, statue-like figures. The extreme conditions are due to volcanic minerals and intense evaporation, making Lake Natron a chemical death trap. While some salt-loving creatures like flamingos can survive here, for almost everything else, this lake is instant death. So if you ever find yourself near Lake Natron, stay far, far away. You do not want to end up as its next victim. Number 8. Poveglia Island. Poveglia Island, located off the coast of Venice, Italy, is often called the most haunted place on Earth. But forget ghosts. This island has a history so dark that even the bravest explorers refuse to go near it. During the Black Death, the island was used as a quarantine zone, where thousands of plague victims were burned alive to stop the disease from spreading. Later, in the 1920s, Poveglia became a mental asylum, where deranged doctors allegedly tortured patients with cruel experiments. Many believe the spirits of these victims still haunt the island. Today, Poveglia is completely off-limits to the public. The Italian government has sealed it off, and locals refuse to go near it. Those who have tried to visit report hearing screams, seeing ghostly figures, and feeling an overwhelming sense of dread. Cursed or not, one thing's for sure: no one wants to be stuck on Poveglia after dark. Number 7. The Nevada Test Site. Hidden deep in the Nevada desert, this massive stretch of land was the U.S. government's favorite place to blow things up. Between 1951 and 1992, more than 1,000 nuclear bombs were detonated here, making it one of the most nuked places on Earth. The results? A radioactive wasteland filled with massive craters, lingering radiation, and eerie remnants of Cold War experiments. Even today, parts of the test site are so contaminated that no human can safely walk there. The U.S. government tightly controls access, and stepping beyond the no trespassing signs isn't just illegal, it's a death sentence. Occasionally, guided tours take people to safe areas, but you'll never see the real dangers lurking beyond the fences. Unexploded bombs, hidden bunkers, and lingering radiation hotspots make sure of that. The message is clear: don't go wandering in the Nevada test site unless you want to glow in the dark. Number 6. The DMZ. The Demilitarized Zone, or in short DMZ, is anything but demilitarized. Stretching 160 miles across the Korean peninsula, this strip of land separates North and South Korea, and it's one of the most dangerous places in the world. Lined with barbed wire, snipers, and landmines, the DMZ is a no-man's land of pure tension. On both sides, thousands of heavily armed soldiers stand ready for war at all times. Any unauthorized person who steps inside risks getting shot on sight. Strangely, because no humans have lived here for decades, the DMZ has become an accidental nature preserve. Rare species like Siberian tigers and endangered cranes roam freely in the untouched wilderness, blissfully unaware of the war zone around them. You can visit certain areas on guided tours, but wander off the designated path, and you might step on a landmine. If there's one rule at the DMZ, it's this: don't get too curious, or you'll pay the price. Number 5. Fukushima Disaster Zone. On March 11, 2011, Japan was struck by a massive earthquake and tsunami, leading to the worst nuclear disaster since Chernobyl. The Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant suffered multiple meltdowns, releasing deadly levels of radiation into the air, water, and soil. The area around Fukushima was immediately evacuated, and today, entire towns remain abandoned, frozen in time, just like Pripyat. Schools, houses, and businesses still look like people just walked away and never came back. While some areas have reopened, others remain too dangerous for human life. Radiation levels are still high enough to cause cancer, and stepping into the wrong area could have serious health consequences. The cleanup effort has been ongoing for over a decade, but parts of Fukushima may never be safe again. If there's one lesson to be learned here, it's that when nuclear energy goes wrong, it goes really, really wrong. Number 4. The Chernobyl exclusion zone. Even decades after the 1986 Chernobyl disaster, the area surrounding the nuclear plant remains one of the most dangerous places on Earth. The Chernobyl exclusion zone, spanning 1,000 square miles, is a radioactive wasteland where nature has reclaimed the land, but at a deadly cost. While some areas are safe for short, guided tours, others remain so contaminated that entering could kill you. Radiation hotspots still exist in buildings, soil, and water, and anyone wandering off the approved paths risks severe exposure. Even the famous elephant's foot, a massive chunk of radioactive material from the reactor's meltdown, emits enough radiation to be fatal within minutes. But here's the creepy part. Wildlife is thriving. With no humans around, wolves, bears, and wild horses have taken over the ruins. The only question is, what kind of mutations are happening deep in the exclusion zone? One thing's for sure, Chernobyl is still no place for humans. Number 3, North Sentinel Island. If there's one place on Earth you should never set foot on, it's North Sentinel Island. Located in the Bay of Bengal, this small jungle-covered island is home to the Sentinelese, a fiercely isolated tribe that attacks anyone who comes near. For thousands of years, the Sentinelese have remained completely cut off from the outside world. They don't want visitors, and they make that very clear. Anyone who has tried to approach, fishermen, missionaries, and even government officials, has been met with a rain of arrows and spears. The Indian government has declared North Sentinel Island completely off limits, making it illegal to get too close. Not only is it for your safety, but also for theirs, because they have no immunity to modern diseases. So, if you're ever sailing through the Bay of Bengal and spot North Sentinel Island, do yourself a favor. Turn around. The Sentinelese aren't looking for new friends. All right, now, let's talk about number 2, the door to hell. A giant burning crater in the middle of the desert sounds like something out of a horror movie, but in Turkmenistan, it's a real place. Known as the door to hell, this 230-foot wide pit has been burning non-stop for over 50 years. It all started in 1971 when Soviet engineers accidentally drilled into a massive underground gas pocket. The ground collapsed, and to prevent toxic gas from escaping, they set it on fire, expecting it to burn out in a few weeks. Instead, it's still roaring to this day. The surrounding area is a scorching wasteland, and getting too close to the edge is extremely risky. The heat is intense, and no one knows when or if the fire will ever go out. The Turkmenistan government has even banned visitors from approaching due to the dangers. It's literally a burning pit of doom. If there's one place you don't want to trip and fall into, this is it. Number 1. Ilha da Queimada Grande. Imagine stepping onto an island where every square meter is home to one of the world's deadliest snakes. That's exactly what awaits on Ilha da Queimada Grande, better known as Snake Island. Located off the coast of Brazil, this forbidden island is so dangerous that the government has completely banned visitors. Why? Because it's crawling with thousands of golden lancehead vipers, one of the most venomous snakes on the planet. Their venom is so powerful that it melts human flesh and kills in minutes. There's no anti-venom, no hospitals, and no rescue team. Even Brazil's Navy only visits once a year to check on the automated lighthouse. Previous keepers weren't so lucky. If you're looking for a paradise island, this isn't it. If you have found this video bone-chilling, well, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content like this. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon in the next one.